What is going on, guys? In today's video I will show you the best blackflame fireball sorceress build in Path of Exile 2 0.3 update. This setup is not just about the raw power, but about transforming the fireball into something that feels entirely new, thanks to the infusion system and the blackflame covenant keystone. The idea of turning the basic flame into a purple one that scales with both ignite and chaos mechanics makes this build one of the most unique spellcasters in the game. At its core, the build revolves around the Fireball, which is a skill that has existed since the very beginning of Path of Exile, but Fireball has changed dramatically in the 0.3 by becoming a spell that interacts with the new infusion mechanic. Infusions are temporarily elemental ground effects generated by certain spells, and when you consume a fire infusion with the Fireball, your next cast will explode into multiple secondary projectiles. So now suddenly, the Fireball no longer feels like a slow single orb, but more like a miniature of the Storm bolts by spreading across the screen and multiplying your damage in every direction. Not only does your flame now appear purple, but they also ignite as chaos, meaning that your damage over time comes from a completely different scaling. This allows you to stack chaos multipliers, ignite duration and damage over time, in ways that the basic fireball build would not achieve. The Blood Mage Ascendancy will tie everything together by changing the way that you pay for spells. Instead of mana, every cast will cost life. At first, that might sound dangerous, but the passive tree and the gear are designed to make it feel smooth. Your life pool is massive, your regeneration and the leech are consistent, and your spells will actually help you to sustain by returning the health with every cast. And remember, if you want to track this build, look up the best items, skill trees and path of building, then check my link in the description. And before we continue, thanks to U4GM. They are a pro website that provides POE2 services like cheap currency, then even to trade all types of quality items and gems and much more. They have also more than 20,000 positive comments on Trustpilot, and this website is really worth a try. So make sure to use my discount code KATE for extra 6% off. So let's take a look at the build, and the first thing is the skill gems. The Fireball is our centerpiece, but it only becomes the monster we want when it interacts with infusions. The infusion mechanic means that you need to support spells that constantly feed your Fireball with the charges of power. The Living Bomb is one of the most important ones, because it generates fire infusions instantly. By casting it twice before firing the Fireball, you guarantee that all the Fireballs will be infused and you will unleash secondary projectiles. Then the Solar Orb and the Snap will add extra consistency. The Solar Orb provides a sustained zone that constantly refreshes your infusions, while the Snap gives you an on-demand generation when you need it the most, by turning routine casts into devastating detonations. The flow of combat is built around weaving these spells together. You begin by placing the Sigil Power to ground yourself in the fight, then apply the Despair to strip enemy cast resistance and open them to your damage. You'll trigger the Living Bomb to build infusions, and then release the Fireball to consume them. All of this will create a wave of projectiles that ricochet across the map. The Chaos Bolts serve as a filler, by keeping your damage rolling when you cycle your infusion generation. It feels like a rotation of build up and release, and once you master the timing loop, it becomes the second nature. Then next, our passive tree will combine three principles. So scale chaos infused damage, turn the life into your resource, and amplify the spellcasting utility. We start by getting nodes that boost spell damage, ignite scaling and the chaos multipliers. With the Blackflame Covenant active, all of your fire damage will become chaos, so every chaos node will become relevant. The damage over time multipliers, ignite nodes, and the burning damage clusters will all become key parts of your scaling. This dual interaction between the fire mechanics and the chaos mechanics is what exactly allows the Fireball to reach its full potential. Then the life investment is the second major priority. Because you are a Blood Mage, so your life pool is both casting resource and a survival buffer. The nodes that increase the flat life, percentage life, and regeneration will become more valuable than almost anything else. Notables like the Sangumancy and the Whispers of the Flesh will feed directly into this style, by rewarding you for casting and spawning life remnants that support your sustain. Recovery on the spell hit, life leech and regeneration nodes will keep the loop stable, so that you never feel like you're actually running out of life, despite constantly draining it. And then the final thing is utility. The Fireball's infused secondary projectiles only matter if they travel far and persist long enough to hit multiple enemies, so projectile speed and duration scaling are very important. Next up we have our Blood Mage Ascendancy. The Sangumancy is the first notable you take, and it defines the build. It ties your casting directly to the life pool, and makes the idea of paying blood instead of mana feel natural. Then Vitality Siphon follows up and smooths the playstyle, by adding recovery while you cast, so the drain of life and the replenishment of life will happen in sync. Then Southern the Flesh is your third choice, and it provides a major offensive boost, by amplifying the critical strikes and helping you to pierce through the enemy defenses, so that every fireball feels like a decisive blow. And finally, the Gore Spike caps off the build, by giving you additional bursts and pushing your damage ceiling to the new heights. Together, these Ascendancies will give the build everything it needs, so identity, sustain, consistent offensive, and the ability to reach absurd levels of damage. Then next we have our Atlas tree, and this build will thrive in dense content because the more enemies you face, the stronger your sustain feels. And for that reason, the Atlas tree focuses on mechanics that guarantee density and consistency. In the center of the tree, you want to pick up the notables that enhance essences, harvest, the strong boxes, and delirium. This combination is very effective, because essence and the harvest guarantees your crafting options, while strong boxes and delirium will flood your maps with the monsters. The synergy here is clear. More monsters mean more life recovery from the Blood Mage mechanic, and more explosions from the Fireball. On the right side of the tree, you want to expand it into the Legion and Expedition, by multiplying the number of monsters even further. And then at the top you invest into the bossing nodes, by ensuring that when it's time to face the Maven, Elder or the Shaper, you have the damage and sustain to handle them. The trick here with the Atlas is not to spread yourself too thin. Instead, you want to cluster around key mechanics that feed into each other, so strong boxes plus the essences will give a consistent loot and crafting currency, while the harvest will offer deterministic progression, and Legion or Expedition will provide raw monster density to fuel your DPS even more. The result is an Atlas tree that feels tailored to this build's strengths and ensures a steady profit as you progress. Then next we got gear, and for this build we want to emphasize life, chaos scaling, and the spellcasting efficiency. Your weapon of choice is usually a staff, which in my case is the Chimming Staff, which can roll very high spell damage, critical strike chance, and the cast speed. The staff setup also enables very strong weapon swaps, by letting you carry alternate setups for the curse application and infuse generation. Then defensively, the Rapid Globe is a strong option for the life-based sustain, while the Snake Pit provides unique projectile interactions. Then Defiance of Destiny shines in the late game to give you extra layer of survivability. Your armor pieces focus first and foremost on the maximum life and resistances, because you're constantly losing life, so stacking as much as possible is the only way to keep the engine running smoothly. Then after that, the Chaos Multipliers, spell damage, and the cast speed are the offensive stats that you want to get. Jewelry is where you push your ceiling, so amulets and rings with the global critical strike multipliers, chaos damage, and the cast speed are ideal. The Seed of Catalysm is a standout ring, while the rare amulets can push your damage even further. Your belt should focus on reinforced sustain, ideally rolling a very high life and the flask modifier. The flasks themselves are crucial for this build, as they act as an emergency recovery button when you get too low HP. Then for your helmet, gloves, and boots, you should follow the same principles, so life and resistances first, and then whatever offensive bonus you can find. And now finally, let's take a look at how to actually play this build. Most of the time, we want to alternate between using the Living Bomb and the Fireball. Living Bomb will provide the infusion while the Fireball consumes it, and in 1 second the enemies will disappear in purple chaos. Then against tougher enemies, the rotation becomes a bit more involved. You drop the Sigil of Power to empower yourself, then apply the Despair to strip resistances, then trigger multiple infusions, and then detonate them with the Fireball. The Chaos Bolt will fill the gaps and ensure that you're never standing idle. Infusion generation is the core principle of where this build lies, so Living Bomb is your bread and butter, but the Solar Orb and the Snap will provide consistency when you need the extended loop. On weapon swap, you can carry a staff setup that allows you to quickly apply curses, by ensuring that bosses are always under the full weight of your debuffs. This DPS flow will almost become rhythmic. You drain life and restore life in the same moment, and fill the battlefield with a storm of corrupted fireballs. It's not the cleanest build visually. The purple fire, the explosions, and the curses, and the ground effects often will make the screen a chaotic mess, but the chaos and super high damage is the part of the appeal why you want to play this build.